All right, so this will be part 2 of the notes of 9.6. Gave people a little bit of time to see how they did on A and B here, and I'm just going to walk through it. So on A, number 1, your midline is just y equals 0. And if you can just see that because it's oscillating half above and half below, that's fine. There is no shift up or down. And then second, how it crosses the y-axis is at its maximum. So that is a cosine graph. And there is no phase shift because it is starting at the maximum. And then for amplitude, the value of A is going to be 2. It's, max minus min is 4 divided by 2 is 2. And you can hopefully just see that because it's 2 above and 2 below. And it starts at the max, so A is positive. And then fourthly, the period, you need to look at the x values between consecutive max and min, find the distance between those, and double. And so the period is 2 pi thirds. And you find the value of b by taking 2 pi divided by the period. And so that's 2 pi times the reciprocal. And the value of b is 3. So your equation should be y is equal to 2 cosine 3x. Don't forget the y equals. All right, for the second one, first of all, the midline is going to be your max plus your min divided by 2. And that comes out to a -1, so your midline is y equals -1. It's a good idea to draw that in. And then you look at the y-axis and see how it crosses the midline or if it hits at a max or min. And it hits at the middle. The midline is on the, where the graph starts. Whoops. The graph starts is on the midline on the y-axis. That is a sine graph. And as you go to the right, it starts by going up. That tells me A is positive. So there's no phase shift, and it is a sine graph. And then your amplitude is your max minus your min divided by 2. And that is 2. And A is positive, so A is a positive 2. Again, just because it starts at the midline, it starts by going up. It's not a reflected sine graph. And then the distance between the x values doubled is 2. So the period is 2. The period is 2. And so you find b by taking 2 pi divided by the value of the period. And that period is 2, so b is pi. And so your equation is a sine graph, y equals, and A is a positive 2. And you have your pi x, and you are shifted down 1. All right, and then you have this little application problem, of which you have a couple in your homework. Your homework isn't that long. Do a good job on it. And it's due tomorrow. So example 4, 2 people swing jump ropes. The highest point in the middle of each rope is 80 inches above the ground. And the lowest is 2 inches. The rope makes 2 revolutions per second. Write a model for height in inches of a rope and where time is in seconds, given that the rope is at its lowest point when time is at 0. So I have my x and my y axes. And the lowest point at time 0 is at your 2 inches. And then at some point, it hits a height of 80 inches. And this is going to be a sinusoid. It's going to be a curve like sine or cosine. Just know that is going to be the shape of the graph. And so the rope, as it swings, comes up, and then it hits the maximum and it comes back down and ends at the same height. So if this is the height of the rope over time, and I'm telling you it's going to take the shape of a sine or cosine curve. And so this would be the graph for one revolution, because it started at the low of 2 inches, it went to the high of 80, and it came back to the height of 2 inches. That's only one revolution. It said that it makes 2 revolutions per second, so that all happens in half a second. And that is a complete cycle, so the period of this is 1/2 a second. That's the period. Because you are starting on the y-axis at the minimum, it's a cosine curve, but since it's at the minimum, the a value is negative. So we have our steps. First of all, the midline is your max plus your min, and all of that's over 2. And that's 41, and that's how much it's been shifted up. Second of all, it's going to be cosine because it's starting on the y-axis at the minimum, and there's no phase shift. And thirdly, your amplitude is your max minus your min divided by 2, and that is 39. And A is negative, so A is a negative 39 because it's starting at the minimum. It is a reflected cosine graph. It's not starting at the max, it's starting at the min. And fourthly, the period when it gets through a full cycle is 1/2, and it's a half a second. And so to find B, you take 2 pi and you divide it by its period. So B is 4 pi. B is 4 pi. And your equation is y is equal to a negative 39 cosine. There is no phase shift, so it is just your bx. And then you have been shifted up 41 units because that is your midline. And that's it.